The Army Painter is my favorite hobby company in the entire world. My desk is literally full of Army Painter products, and it takes me from being an average painter to putting above tabletop standard models out into the tournament scene. Not only that, but the Army Painter has sponsored more competitive play than any other hobby company in the industry. They allow us to keep doing the things that we do. If you enjoy the Army Painter as much as I do, head over to thearmypainter.com where you can use the discount code ARTOWAR5 to get a discount on your next order. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Art of War stream. We're going to be talking about the Tau today with the auxiliary Cadre.
That's right. You've been lamenting for a while that you do not get to take a lot of auxiliaries in your army. Like you get to take them, but they're just there for themselves. They don't like buff the army or do anything.
I've been looking for some nice Tau synergy where I trade my auxiliaries to get buff my real Tau units.
That's a very specific wish, but you got it.
It's the wish of any true commander.
That's You're like, when can I get an integrated command structure? Well, see, it's right there.
Here we go. We're going to dive into this bad boy. But before we do, if you're joining us, please do give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends about us. All of that massively helps us grow. In addition, leave a comment below letting us know what you think of the auxiliary Cadre and how you're feeling overall about the Grotmas detachments and the new 40k meta that we're living in, which is very exciting. In addition, if you want to see my new Tau list ideas for the auxiliary Cadre and a new game coming out with the Tau auxiliary Cadre, check out The Warroom at thewarroom.vhx.tv. There's a 3-day free trial to it, but in addition, right now for a limited time is 50% off your first month with the code GROTMAS2024, all caps. And with that, you'll join our awesome community and get access to content for every single army in the game, not just Tau, but especially Tau. All right, Mr. Jack, you ready to dive into this bad boy?
Of course I am. I love Crute.
Okay, so
big Crute stan out here.
There's two sides to this coin here. There's going to be two ongoing auras. One is going to benefit Crute and Vespid. The other is going to benefit Tau Empire units that are not Crute and Vespid. All right?
Okay.
So the Crute and Vespid units have an aura that is targeting triangulation. So while an enemy unit is within 9 inches and visible to that Crute or Vespid unit, each time a ranged attack is made by a friendly Tau model that isn't Crute or Vespid or Titanic, and they target that enemy unit, you get +1 AP.
So if Crute or Vespid are near you, the regular Tau units get +1 AP against you.
Exactly.
That is scary.
That is pretty strong.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of profiles where they're AP0, AP1, AP2, but they ignore cover because you can ignore cover through the marker light and the guiding mechanic. Once you start adding that extra AP in there, you bring AP2 to AP3, AP1 to AP2. We're starting to talk.
Star Scythe getting AP2 at full 18 inches. It's pretty scary.
It's pretty scary, yeah. Only the auxiliary units need to be within 9 and visible of the enemy unit. Obviously, you're going to need to be visible to it with your other shooting units. They don't have to be within 9, which is pretty impactful because Retaliation Cadre, of course, you're getting that extra AP within 6 inches, but you have to expose your units usually.
Yep, and you also can't deep strike within 6 inches.
Nope.
Not anymore. I took Ret Cadre recently. It's a pretty big part of the army.
It's important.
Yeah. So just being able to deep strike 18 inches away, shoot, get the +1 AP from Star Scythe, +1 AP from Triangulation. It's pretty good. And you can use on a variety of things. Like the burst cannon off of the Riptide gets a lot better with this.
Now you might be saying, hey, you have to trade a whole unit to proc this +1 AP. And you're 100% right on that. But there are plenty of reasons to use Crute or Vespid for move blocking, for doing an action in the middle of the table, scoring primary for you, any of that stuff. So you're going to send them out there. Might as well get them within 9 invisible of the enemy units.
Yeah. And it's not 9 invisible of an enemy unit. It's every single unit within 9 inches invisible to the Vespid unit you ran out to get area denial, right?
Yep. So if they have 5 units out there, you're just like, cool.
One Vespid unit is going to give me +1 AP against all of it. Proceed.
The other half, okay, this is the half that's going to benefit the Crute and the Vespids, is Localized Stealth Projectors aura. While a friendly Crute or Vespid unit is wholly within 6 and visible to this unit, that Crute or Vespid unit can only be selected as the target of ranged attacks if the attacking model is within 18. So it is a version of Lone Op where if your Crute and Vespid units are both visible and wholly within 6 of a different Tau unit, you will get access to 18-inch Lone Op, which means you can do very tricky things like here's my 5 Vespid or 4 Vespid that are in front of a ruin on the objective. Is it every model? Yes, it's just unit.
Yes.
So I just want to double check that. But so the 4 models are in front of the ruin. 1 model is behind the ruin, visible. Every model is wholly within 6 of the Tau unit. 18-inch lone op.
Yep. 18-inch lone op's very good, especially when Kroot have stealth. So your opponent rocks up to within 18 and shoots at you. Like, stealth is not going to keep them alive from concentrated fire. But what it will do a lot of the time is keep them alive through 1 activation. Your opponent just doesn't have 10 hits in them. And if you're an 18-inch lone op, that means to kill your stupid Kroot, your opponent has to get multiple units within 18 of every model. Because you can just pull out of 18 of the second thing, and they're like, I can see you, but I cannot shoot you. And then a Tau army, when your opponent is forced to get within 18 inches of you, definitely will have some things to say about that. And they have to get within 18 inches of really cheap, really expendable units to do so. And then you shoot them. Seems pretty good. Especially maybe you send a Vespid unit out, and then everyone's within 9, and then...
These are pretty darn good auras. I don't know if we will end up seeing Triple Exorcist, which was the big indirect boogeyman, but if we still do, even with the increases, okay, we can go ahead and have Shadow Sun or a Firesight team near your backfield. Cool, 18-inch lone op on your Kroot near unit. So you use a lone op to then lone op your other guys.
Yep, and you also can't like take your, you can't shoot away the home objective because
lone ops.
Yeah.
All right, so enhancements here. You want to take us away?
Absolutely. Student of Kauyon, a Kroot shaper only, because he's studied the ways. In the declare battle formation step, you select up to 3 Kroot carnivores or Kroot farstalkers. Models and these have deep strike. That's really good.
Allows you to...
It's actually insane. What?
Allows you to use rapid ingress effectively to go contest objectives.
Yeah,
that's the big deal here.
And put people in targeting triangulation, or just deep strike them down to do secondaries or whatnot.
Yep. So this was a nice one at 15 points. Pretty easy to go ahead and grab that one.
It's not really 15, unfortunately, because you have to take a Kroot shaper, and you weren't doing that before. But you can also put him in a carnivores unit and put that in reserves. And then maybe that's good. I don't know.
Yep. And one of the shapers, the trail shaper, allows you to redeploy one of your, or I believe 2 of your Kroot units.
Yeah. So putting them in deep strike is actually pretty huge. Because you have 18-inch lone ops, it means your opponent is at risk of you rapid ingressing onto objectives in the open if they don't continually screen them out. Because you can rapid ingress onto an objective and then say, I put the back model within 9 of this Tau unit. Sorry, you can't, or 6, sorry, of a Tau unit. You now cannot shoot me, and I'm going to hold this objective and get a bunch of points. Because a shooting army really wants their opponent to poke out to screen Kroot, right? And if your opponent does poke out, you just shoot them with a Tau army, and you're just like, you got me. I'm not rapid ingressing the Kroot. You did it, Chief. But if they don't poke out, you don't get to shoot them, but you get to just rapid ingress a Kroot unit onto an objective.
What you can do is you can use the Firesight team or Shadow Sun to get a little more aggressive up the table so that when you rapid ingress into an area, you'll easily be wholly within 6 with the unit of that lone op, and then you proc the 18 lone ops. So you can create like nice areas of the board where your opponent really has to get super aggressive, like Jack was saying.
Yeah. It's also very easy to rapid ingress within 18 inches of one thing and trust that your stealth means that you won't lose the whole unit, and then you auto pass battle shock, score 15, and they're like, oh my God, I'm losing on points now. And then they have to come out, and your guns get to... That's a artist's, rendering of what would happen.
That's a burst cannon right there.
Yeah, of course.
We've got Admired Leader. This is a 20-point enhancement. I really like this one. So it goes on a Tau model that isn't a Kroot model. In your command phase, you pick 1 Kroot or Vespid unit within 12 of the bearer. And if you do, you get +1 leadership on them. And while a unit is not battle shocked, +1 OC. So your Kroot carnivores can go to OC3. Vespid can go to OC2.
Within 12?
You can give Kroot hounds OC1. Normally they're OC0. So there's a lot of really cool things that you can do here.
Wow, that is really good.
That's really darn good.
That is incredible. You say Kroot go to
OC3.
You go to OC3?
Yeah, they're OC2.
And then Kroot Hounds also, Admired Leader just makes, it's 12 inches, which means you don't even have to like
easy.
Bubble around him. And then you just go, I can just take your objective away with OC2 Vespid that move really fast. Or OC1 Kroot Hounds run out. Yeah. It's also in your command phase, So if they ignore the Crute Hounds, because they're like, they'll become OC0 on your next turn, you're like, yeah, they become OC0. Now I make them OC1. Anyway, I get a 15. I will collect my 15 now. That's so good.
I'm admiring it.
Damn. That's great. That's crazy.
Then we got Fanatical Convert. This is 10 points. It goes on a Croup model. The Bears unit has the For the Greater Good ability, which will allow it to gain access to, if it's being guided, the +1 ballistic skill, and ignores cover if the supporting the observer unit has marker light, or it can be the thing that is the observer. Although Crew don't have marker light keywords.
Yeah, I don't. It's all right.
Yeah, it's kind of meh.
It's kind of meh. Yeah, I don't think you're taking 2 Crute Shapers.
You could though.
No, you can. You can. Again, this is not a 10-point enhancement is the problem, because it has to go on a unit you're not taking. And that means it has to be worth it by itself, and it just isn't.
And then for the Transponder Lock module, which is 25 points, this is going to allow a walker, basically a commander, gets to take this, and the Bearer's unit can use the Deep Strike ability in the first, second, or third movement phases. If it uses it during the first, it has to be set up within 12 of one or more friendly Crute or Vespid units.
Yep, and the way it's worded, it says in the reinforcement step, means you can't rapid ingress turn 1. This is no Hunter's Instincts.
Yep.
If it was Hunter's Instincts,
if you could rapid it turn 1, I'd be a little more interested.
Pretty good.
Tau typically doesn't do some aggressive push with one unit on turn 1.
No, it's also 25 points. Like, I'm not against it, just because, like,
it's a threat.
It's a threat. Your opponent has to worry about it. But I've not read this detachment yet. Does it have Fire and Fade?
No, it doesn't.
No. Okay, that's a lot worse. Because what you want is, like, drop down turn 1, eliminate something your opponent put in a awkward position, and then run the hell away. But if you can't do that, you're just trading on turn 1. That's probably, you'd have to back it up with the rest of your army. And again, not what Tau are looking to do, especially with great standoff tools like the leader thing, where you make your dudes +1 OC and just take objectives with them, or just have Crute Hounds on an objective, be like, I scored anyway. And then deep striking, i.e. rapid ingressing Crute Carnivores that can't be shot outside 18. You have great standoff tools with your opponent, and you have really good guns. There's no sense in ditching that to go for a turn 1 alpha.
Tell us about experimental modifications.
Absolutely. You might be able to convince your opponent you're going to go for a turn 1 alpha, but you probably shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
Experimental modifications in your shooting phase or the fight phase. A Crute or Vespid unit that has not been selected to shoot or fight gets +1 AP. It's pretty decent.
So this really combos with the second one, which is multi-sensory scanning, where in your shooting or fight phase, you pick a Tau Empire unit from your army that hasn't been selected to shoot or fight yet. And until the end of the phase, each time model in the unit makes a attack, they get reroll 1s to wound. However, if they're Crute or Vespid, they get full rerolls to wound.
Hold on. Do Crute crack now? Do they kind of bang?
Let's just walk it through. We have a Lone Spear, right?
Okay.
It hits a unit of Necron Warriors run by Nick Nanavati.
Right.
You get full rerolls to hit against it.
Okay.
Now, that big Crute squad is going to also get access to +1 AP from a strat and reroll wounds.
So they crack, is what you're trying to say.
So they can crack.
All right, they can crack. What are there any of the shapers that buff their damage?
Sustained.
With real hits, you say?
Reroll 1s to hit.
Reroll 1s to hit. And the Lone Spear can run up the table and get people within 9 for +1 AP.
Oh, sorry, full rerolls to hit. No, you are correct. On sustained, yeah.
So full rerolls to hit, sustained, full rerolls to wound, +1 AP. Listen, Crute are not good in combat, but that will make them okay in combat.
You can start punching up with them if you really invest in it.
If you really, really invest in it. You can also reroll wounds on Vespid, which is fine.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Because you can give them reroll 1s to hit with Shadow Sun if you wanted to.
I think you probably take one unit of Crute as a hit squad, because you need to take a Shaper to give them Deep Strike. And you can only rapid ingress twice. So you have 2 10-mans that are useful for rapid ingressing for points. And you have 1 big unit that's useful for rapid ingressing for debeats. And you alternate between those depending on how you need to.
Yeah, the Trail Shaper gives you a D6 reactive move, so that one can be kind of interesting. Go contest an objective, get back behind the terrain potentially.
Yep, that's pretty. It's interesting, right? It's an avenue we haven't really explored very much.
All right, so 1 CP, Interlocking Maneuvers. End of the fight phase, 1 Tau Empire unit from your army that was eligible to fight.
That's Crute too?
Yep, any Tau Empire unit. If your unit is not within engage range of 1 or more enemy units, it can make a normal move of up to 6 inches. Otherwise, your unit can make a fallback move. It can embark in a transport if it disembarked from a transport this turn.
That is pretty dope. You're going to have to use this offensively. Using this defensively is probably not going to work. just because, like your silly fire warriors are probably not surviving combat. But and also like riptides and stuff already fall back and shoot. I guess it's decent on like a vehicle, or a vehicle gets tied up and you're like, oh, it's eligible to fight, I'm just gonna leave, because it can be any unit.
How I think about this is, and you've probably experienced this as playing Tau yourself, the Sunforge unit can tank a lot more damage than you think.
Yes.
And so, yeah. Okay, it was eligible to fight. It didn't do much damage in the fight phase, but it survived. And now instead of shooting the thing it's stuck in engagement range of, it's just going to make a fallback.
Also at -1 to hit, which can gut its shooting. You can also fall back over them because you have fly, and then just run into the center of their army going.
And I like how the normal move is restricted to up to 6 inches, but the fallback move is just a fallback move. So your Cold Star unit, a Cold Star with Sunforge, is a 12-inch fallback.
Realistically, I think where this is going to get its most value, as I said, is proactively. I think what you're going to do, I think the optimal way to use this strat is to take your Sunforge or whatever and move them up, shoot something, charge something, and then proactively fall back 10 or 12 over them and take their home objective, take their expansion objective, move block them, whatever.
It's a different type of fire and fade. It's a similar type of move that you can perform.
I get it.
It's similar.
Right, because you can fall back over them, or you can fall back 12 inches backwards.
Yep.
So if you really game this properly, which there's a lot of depth to this.
You should be, yeah.
You should be able to. Yeah, you rapid ingress some Sunforge, run up, blast something, charge kind of sideways into something, into like a vehicle, right? One where you don't already, like a rhino or something you're not planning on killing. And then you just leave. You just leave behind a wall, or you go further and contest their objectives. There's a lot of utility to this.
Mm-hmm. It's not as good as Fire and Fade, but it is, in some situations, it's actually better. But it's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Tell us about the pheromone waypoints.
Oh, I've been waiting to tell you about these pheromone waypoints personally. So in your movement phase, you pick a Crute or Vespid unit that has not been selected to move. Until the end of the phase, every time it advances, it goes 6. Oh my god, this is so good with OC2 Vespid or OC3 Crute.
Rapid, +1 OC, go.
Yep. Or not even rapid, +1 OC. How far did Vespid move? 12?
12, but you're going to see there's a second strat coming up.
Oh.
Alien Expertise.
Okay.
So which we might as well discuss now because the two combo. Your movement phase, 1 Tau Empire from your unit. Until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it advanced. So you can do this on broadsides, anything, right?
Pretty good.
The second half, though, is if it's a Crute or Vespid, until the end of the turn, your unit can declare a charge in the turn in which it advanced as well.
Okay, so there's a lot of utility to this.
There's some jank going on, Jack.
There's a lot of jank here. Okay, so you have the ability to give any unit +1 OC. To make some units really have a lot of OC to them. And then you have the ability to flat advance them. And then you have the ability to flat advance, shoot, and charge. Objectives, they're not for your opponent. They're for you.
And Tau has had a difficult time contesting objectives with certain archetypes without doing a lot of damage to those objectives. This is one of the ways to get around it.
What, Vespid are 65 points?
They are, yeah.
So you take 3 units of these, you can make them OC2, you make them move 18 inches, and then charge like a rhino to take an objective away.
I'm doing it.
That's if you need to, right? Because like a lot of the time, 18 inches will just get you on the objective. And then that's 10 OC you can just deliver there. And if that's not good enough, why not rapid ingress, 10 Crute, make them 30 OC and flat advance them onto the objective? Because it is a 12-inch selection for the +1 OC. So it's really easy to just rapid, OC3, they move flat 12, and then if you need to, you can charge.
Well,
and that's just going to take basically any objective away, and possibly multiples, right? You can string them out and be like, there's 6 on this objective, 6 on this objective. And then you flip them the bird.
You could advance and charge.
Because Crute are birds.
So, like, you can advance and charge, flat 6 on that, get as far and deep as possible. You still might not touch their home objective, right? But you really want. They have defense, stronghold, it's a lot. Well, let's use interlocking maneuvers after we charge into that rhino to just then get onto the home objective.
Dude, you can have Vespid go 18 inches, charge, pile in, consolidate, unlike a rhino, something that's going to kill 1 maybe.
Yeah.
And then fire and fade or charge and fade to move another 12 inches over them. You can move like a total of 30 inches plus a charge and a pile in and a consolidate and just steal home field objectives. Your opponent can stop that they have to like physically block the space because otherwise you're just coming in, right? The water's fine and you're coming in. And they have to physically block the space. They can do that. Doing that on an expansion objective when your opponent is Tau, and i.e. pointing every single gun down range, daring someone to try, like, I don't think you're going to block out your expansion objective. And that means you're just never scoring primary on there. You I hope you're comfortable with that, because you're never scoring primary in your expansion. This detachment is like a detachment of your opponent will get 5 on primary. That's just what it is. And possibly 0.
Possibly zeros.
It's incredible at that one job. And it doesn't really buff the rest of the army. Ignore the +1 AP that you
Don't
get
worry,
on
Jack.
everything.
You've missed the last stratagem here called Guided Fire.
My point was, you don't even need to buff the rest of the army because it shoots pretty dang hard. You just need your opponent to come out. And this forces your opponent to come out.
Here we go. Get ready for this one. So this is shooting phase. 1 Tau Empire unit from your army that isn't crewed or vesped. Till the end of the phase, you get +1 strength on your ranged weapons. Okay. If your unit is wholly within 9 of 1 or more crewed or vesped units, you instead get +2 strength. And there's some really important breakpoints here, like think of the Sunforge unit with its fusion. That's
Strength 11?
Strength 11 with reroll wounds and damage into vehicles and monsters.
That is pretty tight. How about Star Scythe that are strength 4 on the Flamers? What if they went to strength 6 and it were AP 2? What if you took burst cannons and they were strength 7 and also AP 2?
What about breacher teams that go to strength 8 AP 2?
Full rerolls to wound against objectives? That's pretty good. That would be pretty good.
There's some really important breakpoints here. The combination of this plus AP bonus from having the auxiliary aura, there's some really nasty things you can do with this army. So it's not just about the mobility and the contesting of objectives, but you also have some really hitting power with some of the stratagems plus rule.
So this plays perfectly into how you personally like to play Tau, which is you sit back and you set up a board state where you're going to keep trading resources out, and you can do this forever, right? You can just do this for as long as you want. And you're going to be stealing objectives, move blocking, scoring secondaries, and you just wait. And your opponent can either see the writing on the wall, which is that they're going to lose a long, prolonged game, or they can come out and let you get the first crack. And that is exactly how you like to play.
I love getting the first crack, chat.
40K. Generally, sit back and trade and literally just pass turn 50 times. And then your opponent at some point has to go, I am losing, and step out. You don't have a ton of buffs once they step out. This is not Montka, Kauyon. This is not Ret Cadre. But what you have is a way better ability to make them do it. And that, I think, is probably better. You know, you can control the transition between the skirmish fight and the actual fight because you are just going to win the scoreboard war. That's what this army does.
I also think that the aura of +1 AP that the auxiliaries give out is really good in a meta where Armor of Contempt is not the entire phase. It's just one activation. That gains a lot of value.
Yep, especially if you have a lot of like little battlesuit units that are medium activations where you kind of want to pop Armor of Contempt, but you don't get a ton of value out of doing it, which is a pretty nice place to be as the Tau players. You shoot the first one, you're like, and then you just go, I don't really want to pop it against this. And you're like, well, it's not going to get better.
It's not getting better.
So
I originally read this.
And missile suits with +1 AP?
Yeah. Anything besides that's not Titanic, Crude, or Vespid.
Yeah.
So I originally read this and I was like, okay, this doesn't seem quite as good as Monka or Retaliation Cadre on the surface of it. But then when you get into the depths of this army, it just plays in a way where Tau can sometimes struggle to create that difference between scoring and your opponent is always after your objectives, but you're having a hard time either holding them or attacking their objectives. This detachment solves that problem.
Yes.
And so I really like that it opens a different play style than Tau has had previously that is very strong for the control style that I like.
Yeah. I'll tell you the game that felt hopeless at WCW with Retaliation Cadre was the Space Wolves game. That game felt unwinnable. And the reason it felt unwinnable was because he had 2 squads of infiltrators. And so I couldn't get to him. There was just no way to do it, right? Ret Cadre relies on going up and down and 3-inch deep striking and da-da-da-da-da, and all of that got shut down. And then he just ran at me. And like, I killed him, He killed some of me. He killed a lot of me, actually. I killed a lot of him. But that didn't matter because he could steal my objectives and I couldn't steal his objectives. And it needs to be that push and pull with Tau where I'm getting behind you when you push me and, I'm taking your objectives away. And if that's blocked, man, I lose. I did not see a way to win that game. I just didn't, after turn 1 or something, because he just all-in'd me and was like, yeah, your scoreboard's going to suffer about 15 points now.
I know how it feels, Jack.
I can't get behind you. Okay, cool. This just solves that issue, especially since Rhett Cadre now with the 6-inch deep strike is...
it's not as strong.
Looking rough. It's looking rough for that same reason, because basically everyone has 6-inch infiltrators, and that's probably enough with the big base size. But this, you don't have that issue. You can, A, probably move block them for the rest of their lives, and B, steal their objectives away from, the next table over. And that will probably solve a lot of those problems.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to put this detachment on the table. There's going to be a game very soon coming up in the War Room, in addition to my list idea video, which you can check out right now today on the War Room. So head over to thewarroom.vhx.tv. There's a 50% off your first month coupon code, which is Grotmas 2024, all caps, and you'll get access to our awesome community and content for every single faction in the game. As well, if you've been joining us, you've been enjoying this content, enjoying our Grotmas detachment breakdowns, please do give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends about us. All of that massively helps us grow. And finally, leave a comment below letting us know what you think of the auxiliary cadre. Did you have the same impression that I originally had? Have you come around to it? Do you still not like it? Tell us. We'd love to hear from it. And in addition, just thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate all this December support. And thank you to Games Workshop for sending us these rules and giving us Grotmas, because 40K hype is what I live for.
Absolutely.
Age of Sigmar hype, Kill Team,
It's cool.
Underworlds. It's cool.
Take it away from it.
But I'm about the 40K, and that's what I need in my life, okay? Give me the 40K.
And this detachment is sweet. This detachment is cool.
If you're a Tau player, this is what we've been asking for, which is auxiliaries do the heavy lifting up front, and the Tau units benefit.
Tau units just sit there.
There's nothing more for the greater good than this.
Just waiting. Yeah.
This is so fluffy and flavorful.
Listen,
and fun.
A lot of you will die, but that is a sacrifice I am willing to make as you tell your crew.
I'm so willing to make it
of course.
for them in their honor. So thank you so much, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see y'all next time for more content. So long for now.